gentlemen, it is now time that we continue with our rehearsal program here today and bring to you the heavy lifters as part of this year's show. And taxiing out right now to runway 22, that of the Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker aero refueler, an aircraft whose job is to pass gas and do such at an altitude of over 30,000 feet above the ground. From your right, you will see the KC-135 as it begins today's demonstration, hailing from the 97th Air Mobility Wing at Altus Air Force Base, Oklahoma. We will see them again soon as they prepare to launch for an aero refueling pass alongside the C-17 Globemaster 3. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you today's demonstration. Captain Tyler Moore, along with Major Joel Courtwright and Captain Andrew Butler, flying today's profile. The loadmasters on board are Technical Sergeant Eddie Raines and Staff Sergeant Daniel Lawrence. This highly experienced crew has a combined total of over 12,000 flying hours in a variety of U.S. Air Force aircraft. To begin today's demonstration, the crew will perform a maximum effort takeoff and climb, demonstrating the C-17's ability to operate out of short and austere airfields. This tactical airlifter can land day or night on runways as short as 3,500 feet, regardless of whether or not they are paved. And momentarily, they'll be taken to the sky for today's impressive aerial performance of the C-17. Ladies and gentlemen, on the takeoff roll from the 97th Air Mobility Wing from Altus Air Force Base, Oklahoma, presenting the Boeing C-17 Globemaster 3. The C-17 made its first flight back in September of 1991. Since then, the aircraft has set over 30 world records, including payload to altitude, time to climb, and the longest airdrop mission in history. Its new age design includes a modernized glass cockpit, heads-up displays at both pilot stations, and an advanced cargo handling system allowing it to operate with less than half the size of crew of similar cargo-carrying aircraft. Pass. Notice just how quiet the C-17 is while passing show center. This gives its operators a tactical advantage while flying low over hostile territory and allows for more suitable operations at airfields near heavily populated cities. This reliable airlifter combines the intercontinental cargo carrying capability of large aircraft, such as the C-5 Galaxy, with the short field landing potential of the much smaller C-130 Hercules. The C-17 is powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney F-117 engines, the same engines used on board the Boeing 757 airliner. Each engine delivers over stop in very short distances. Be sure to get your cameras ready, as this will be your best photo opportunity to capture this amazing state-of-the-art airlifter in flight. From the right at just 120 miles per hour, the C-17 and the slow speed pass. The Globemaster 3 will now maneuver for a circle over the airfield, showcasing its ability to fly at slow speeds and demonstrate its advanced aerodynamics in action. The aircraft gives you a better idea of the aircraft's overall size. Those winglets are nearly 9 feet tall. And in case you're wondering just how big the C-17 is, its wingspan is roughly 170 feet and is over 5 stories tall. When fully loaded, the C-17 Globemaster 3 weighs in at over 580,000 pounds. A look to the left for the aircraft the size of a hotel. C-17 Globemaster 3 and the minimum radius turn. You can see the C-17 is extremely maneuverable with high and low speeds, making it easy to operate in nearly any tactical situation. This aircraft can fly anywhere in the world virtually non-stop using its air-to-air refueling capability. Air Force personnel will routinely fly 24-hour missions on the C-17 with a single crew. The most basic crew required to operate the C-17 is merely 2 pilots and 1 loadmaster. You may have also noticed some 14 times the world C-17 and KC-135 pilots, loadmasters, and boom operators. Every year, over 2,000 students graduate from this rigorous aircrew training at Altus. To showcase some of this unique training in flight, the KC-135 and the C-17 will begin an air-to-air refueling pass, demonstrating the skill required to precisely fly this type of formation. During aero refueling, receiver pilots and KC-135 boom operators must work as a team, maintaining stable position for upwards to 20 minutes at a time, with only 20 feet between the bodies of each aircraft. So large are these airplanes that even a slight movement in one actually affects the aerodynamic characteristics of the other. If you direct your attention ahead and to our left, you will see the KC-135 and C-17 approaching the airfield in what will be this aero refueling formation. Normally accomplished at altitudes of upwards of 20,000 feet. Today they're going to give you an amazing demonstration in this pass just 1,000 feet above the ground. This formation permits the KC-135 to transfer fuel to the C-17 mid-air and ultimately allows both aircraft to enhance the Air Force's capability to accomplish its primary mission, global reach and global power. Aero refueling allows aircraft to fly around the globe in just a matter of hours without the need to land. Both crews are comprised of formal training unit instructors from the mighty 97th Air Mobility Wing. Watch as these two aircraft fly past from our left at just 1,000 feet above and at no more than about 300 miles an hour. Following this low-altitude pass, you will then see both of the massive aircraft turn on the tanker pilot's command. Gallons a minute, more fuel transferred than a typical full-size car takes on in a single year. Here they come now, the KC-135 and the C-17 in the pre-contact position. As each aircraft break now from their formation, the KC-135 is maneuvering to our right to set up for its landing attitude demonstration. The KC-135 pilots for today's show are Majors John Zetvik, Vic Stratotanker limited to just 4 degrees of bank upon landing, making it a very challenging aircraft to land in gusty crosswind conditions. Following, the C-17 will now maneuver for a short distance full-stop assault landing. As the crew sets up for their approach, the aircraft is flying just under 120 miles per hour, flying at a steep 5-degree approach angle. Captain Butler will demonstrate the very short landing distance of the C-17 by using just over 1,000 feet of runway to successfully stop the aircraft, and then pay close attention. The C-17 will back. Demonstrating now the ability for the aircraft to back into its own power, giving it increased maneuverability while offloading cargo and the capability to operate at smaller unsupported airfields. All the maneuvers that you have seen here today are examples of those flown by our operational air crews on a regular basis. They provide highly responsible, capable of transporting litter and ambulatory patients using patient support pallets during aeromedical evacuations. KC-135 also boasts a wingspan of 130 feet, has a maximum speed of 513 miles an hour. The aircraft can reach a ceiling at some 50,000 feet and carries a basic crew of 3, consisting of pilot, co-pilot, and boom operator. Some KC-135 missions require the addition of a navigator, and a basic crew of 2 flight nurses and 3 medical techs is added on aeromedical missions. With a full fuel load, the KC-135 can take off and land anywhere in the world. C-135 holds a variety of world records for its job of passing gas, and that includes the most aero refueling in 1 week at over 290 refueled and over 1 million pounds of jet fuel offloaded. It also set the single-day record for refueling 90 aircraft in just 24 hours, a record established and remains unbroken by any aircraft since 1981. Some 14 miles of wire on board the KC. Many Dash 135 platforms have been modified to perform the roles of also that of reconnaissance and aerial command relay, helping to keep America safe. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's demonstration. On behalf of the men and women of the United States Air Force, Air Education and Training Command, and Altus Air Force Base, Oklahoma, they thank you for being with us here today, and we hope you've enjoyed this brief look at the C-17 Globemaster 3 and the KC-135 Stratotanker. True work.
It's all we've been given, so you better start living, you better start living, you better start living right now. As days go by, I can feel it flying like a hand out the window in the wind. Cars go by, it's all we've been given, so you better start living right now. As days go by.
And maneuvers, and we are so thrilled to have them here with us today. They're going to continue to work their way down and are currently back taxiing on runway 28. Here at the Rochester International Airport, we in fact have 3 runways. We have runway 28, also runway 10, runway 422, and we have runway 725. And in fact, where we're sitting right now is in fact on one of those runways. That's runway 725. It's about 4,000 feet long. We've got that runway closed for all the seating, and then we've got a crossway. Why they're called, they have a numerical code to them, and it's actually fairly simple. Depending on which side of the runway that you're pointing, depends on how you're lined up to magnetic north of the particular heading. So in the case of runway 22 that they're working to work their way out to right now, that is on a magnetic heading of 220 degrees. Now, if you're at the other end of the runway, that would be the magnetic heading of 040. And for the purposes of simplicity, we knock off that last zero, and hence that makes the runway numbers. Right now, they're going to get their way into position as we're a few moments away from launching these airplanes for their full demonstration today. We've got lots more to come following this. The Quicksilver P-51 Mustang, flown by Scott Scooter Yoke, a tribute to our veterans. And we'll see at 2 o'clock the F-16 Fighting Falcon and the Viper demo team. Captain Taylor FEMA Heister is the demonstration pilot for the Viper demo, and we'll be seeing a very... KC-135 Stratotanker climbs to prepare for today's demonstration. We now turn our attention with Major Joel Courtwright and Captain Andrew Butler. The Loadmasters today are Technical Sergeant Eddie Raines and Staff Sergeant Daniel Lawrence. This extremely experienced crew has a combined total of over 12,000 flying hours in a variety of U.S. Air Force aircraft. To begin today's demonstration, the crew will perform a maximum effort takeoff and climb, demonstrating the Globemaster 3's ability to operate from short and austere airfields. Ladies and gentlemen, on the takeoff roll from the 97th Air Mobility Wing at Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma, presenting the Boeing C-17 Globemaster 3. The C-17 made its first flight in September of 1991. Since then, the aircraft has set over 30 world records, including payload to altitude, time to climb. Ladies and gentlemen, look to the left for an aircraft the size of a hotel. It's the C-17 Globemaster 3. Just how quiet the C-17 is while it passed show center. This gives the operators a tactical advantage while flying low over hostile territory and allows for more suitable operations at airfields near heavily populated cities. This reliable airlifter combines the intercontinental cargo carrying capability with wing flaps. These devices literally key to its final low approach speed, enabling the aircraft to land and stop in very short distances. Be sure to get your cameras out at the ready, as this will be your best photo opportunity to take pictures of this amazing state-of-the-art airlifter in flight. From the right at just 120 miles an hour, the C-17 in the slow speed pass. The C-17 will now maneuver for a circle over the airfield, showcasing its ability to fly at slow speeds and demonstrate its advanced aerodynamics in action. The aircraft utilizes a quadruple redundant wingtips known as winglets. They decrease aerodynamic drag and increase fuel economy. To give you a better idea of this aircraft's overall size, those winglets are nearly 9 feet tall. And if you're wondering just how big the C-17 is, the wingspan roughly 170 feet. The tail is over 5 stories tall. When fully loaded, the C-17 weighs in at over 580,000 pounds. And to further give you an idea of that 170-foot wingspan, the entirety of the first flight of the Wright brothers could have taken a place within the wingspan of this aircraft. As you can see, the C-17 is extremely maneuverable, both high and low speeds, making it easy to operate in nearly any tactical situation. This aircraft can fly anywhere in the world non-stop using its air-to-air refueling capability. Air Force personnel routinely fly 24-hour missions with the C-17 with a single crew on board. The most basic crew required to operate the Globemaster utility wing at Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma has the unique mission of training the world's C-17 and KC-135 pilots, loadmasters, and boom operators. Every year, over 2,000 students graduate from the rigorous aircrew training at Altus. To showcase some of this unique training, the crews of both aircraft will come by in a simulated air-to-air refueling pass, demonstrating the skill required to precisely fly this type of formation at low altitude. Typically accomplished at altitudes in excess of some 20 to 30,000 feet. They will work their way inbound to showcase you this pass at just a mere 1,500 feet above the ground while maintaining stable position. In active air-to-air refueling missions, the pilots must maintain position upwards of some 20 minutes at a time with only 20 feet between the bodies of each aircraft. So large are each of these airplanes that even a slight movement in one will affect the aerodynamics of the other. Air-to-air refueling permits the KC-135 to transfer fuel to the C-17 midair, and ultimately allows both aircraft to enhance the Air Force's capability to accomplish its mission of global reach and global power. Air refueling allows the aircraft to fly around the globe in just a matter of hours without the need to land. Both crews today are comprised of formal training unit instructors from the mighty 97th Air Mobility Wing. Again, as they approach from our left at 300 miles an hour, we will bring the aircraft down to just 1,500 feet above the ground. Give us a good look at what this looks like in the low rear of the KC-135. You will see what is known as the boom extended. It is the item on the aircraft that allows the transfer of fuel at a rapid rate. Laying in the back of the aircraft is also that of the boom operator, who is indeed flying this boom using a series of hand controls. Here they come now from the left, the KC-135 and the C-17 in the pre-contact position. Together for our United States Air Force and the KC-135 and the C-17. As the aircraft to the right, Captain Butler will now demonstrate the very short landing distance of the C-17 by using only about 1,000 feet of runway to safely bring the aircraft to a stop. Watch as they quickly reach the cells of those turbofan engines as the aircraft can actually taxi backwards under its own power. From Altus Air Force Base, Oklahoma, let's put our hands together for the C-17 Globemaster 3. The KC-135 now on a right turn over the airfield as it maneuvers to land. Air Mobility Command manages an inventory of some 414 Stratotankers, of which the Air Force Reserve and Air National Guard fly 235 in support of AMC missions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the newest members of our United States military. And an amazing backdrop as well to our enlistment with the core airlifters for the U because we don't have the sun beating down on us, and two is that the clouds actually create a little bit of an echo effect as that noise sort of bounces off and back towards the ground. In the case that we work our way down even into worse conditions, say 15. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time that we continue with our flying display and our heavy lifters as part of today's program. From Altus Air Force Base, the 97th Air Mobility Wing, we are pleased to present to you the KC-135 Stratotanker and the C-17 Globemaster 3. The C-17, the only airlifter that has dropped Optimus Prime himself. She is the star of the silver screen and the star of America's airlift fleet. She will be accompanied by the aircraft of the takeoff roll down, the aero refueler for the U.S. Air Force, the KC-135. They are going to climb and prepare for what is going to be an aero refueling pass with the C-17 a little bit later on in today's demonstration. It is my pleasure to present to you today's display by Air Education Training Command's C-17 demo team from Altus Air Force. Takeoff and climb, demonstrating its ability to operate on a short and austere airfield. Ladies and gentlemen, on the takeoff roll from the 97th Air Mobility Wing and Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma, presenting the C-17 Globemaster 3. This tactical airlifter can land day or night on runways as short as 3,500 feet, regardless of whether or not they are paved. Dirt, stone, rocks, grass, or even ice. No problem for this very capable jet. The C-17 made its first flight back in September of 1991. Since then, the aircraft has set over 30 world records, including payload to altitude time. To start off today's demonstration, the crew will perform a high-speed pass with the aircraft capable of accelerating to over 350 miles an hour. This pass will demonstrate the extremely powerful accelerating now to some 300 miles an hour to our left. Let's look for the aircraft the size of a hotel and welcome into show center the Boeing C-17. This reliable airlifter combines the intercontinental cargo capabilities of large aircraft such as the C-5 Galaxy with the short field landing potential of the much smaller C-130 Hercules. The C-17 is powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney F-117 engines. These are the same engines used on board the Boeing 757 airliner. Each engine delivers over 40,000 pounds of thrust. This amazing state-of-the-art airlifter in flight. from the right now at just 120 miles an hour. The C-17 and the slow speed pass. The Globemaster 3 will now maneuver for a circle over the airfield, showcasing its ability to fly at slow speeds and demonstrate its advanced aerodynamics in action. The aircraft uses a quadruple redundant fly-by-wire control system for the operation of its flight controls. This combined 4 separate flight control computers are each capable of controlling the entire system into wingtips, known as winglets. They decrease aerodynamic drag and increase fuel economy. To give you a better idea of this aircraft's overall size, those winglets are nearly 9 feet tall. Its wingspan roughly 170 feet, and the tail is over 5 stories tall. When fully loaded, the C-17 weighs in at over 580,000 pounds. Let's look now to the left as the crew demonstrates this, the minimum radius turn. As you can see, the C-17 is extremely maneuverable at both high and low speeds, making it easy to operate in nearly any tactical situation. Required to operate the Globemaster 3 is merely 2 pilots and 1 loadmaster. You may have also noticed some 14 tires on board the aircraft. Its heavy-duty landing gear allows it to land on surfaces such as cement, sand, dirt, and ice. As a result of this, C-17 and KC-135 pilots, loadmasters, and boom operators. Every year, over 2,000 students graduate from this rigorous aircrew training at Altus. To showcase some of this unique training in flight, the KC-135 and C-17 will reposition to begin a simulated air-to-air refueling pass, demonstrating the skill required to precisely fly this type of formation. During air refueling, receiver pilots and boom operators must work together as a team, maintaining stable position upwards to 20 minutes at a time, with only 20 feet of separation between the bodies of each aircraft. So large is each airplane that even a slight movement of one will actually attention ahead and to our left. You will see the KC-135 and C-17 approaching the airfield in this air refueling formation. This is normally accomplished at altitudes upwards of 20,000 or even 30,000 feet above the ground. But today, they are going to showcase to you this pass at just 1,500 feet above the airport. This formation permits the KC-135 to transfer fuel to the C-17 mid-air. It allows both aircraft to enhance Air Force's capabilities to accomplish its primary missions, global power and global reach. Air refueling allows the aircraft to fly around the globe in a matter of hours without the need to land. The rear of the aircraft, look closely as the boom operator laying on his or her stomach will in fact fly this boom using a series of hand controls. In conjunction and radio contact with the receiver aircraft, the C-17 will now work its way close to that position and showcase to you what this might look like in a tactical situation to quickly transfer fuel at a rapid rate. Ladies and gentlemen, cameras at the ready as they work their way inbound now from the left. The Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker, the Boeing C-17 Globemaster 3 in the three-contact position. Together for the crew from our United States Air Force. As the aircraft split in the break, the KC-135 to our right is maneuvering for a landing attitude demonstration. The KC-135 pilots for today's display are Majors John Zetvik, Big Bro, and Matthew Pratt. They are assisted by the boom operators. It possesses the ability to offload fuel at a rate of nearly 1,000 gallons a minute. That's more fuel than a typical full-size car takes on in a single year, and with its capacity of over 30,000 gallons on board, the KC-135 could successfully refuel over 1,500 small cars. The original KC-135 was outfitted with turbojet engines. They were loud, they were smoky, they made a lot of noise, they weren't very efficient, but they were later retrofitted with what we see today, the CFM56 turbofan engines that produce a great deal of thrust and efficiency for the KC-135. Let's watch as they come by just a few feet above the ground. And will now accelerate to our left. Back to the right, the C-17 is now making a tactical arrival to land. They will watch as the C-17 will utilize reverse thrust and will showcase to you this plan to move the airplane in actual taxi backwards. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for the C-17 Globemaster 3. The KC-135 now in a right-hand turn to prepare for their arrival back to the airport, completing their performance today. This is an aircraft that was commissioned by the Air Force back in 1959. The KC-135 has served as the backbone of Air Mobility Command fleet for over 60 years and will continue to do so long into the future. As I mentioned to you, it carries the capability to carry over 30 2,000 gallons of fuel and can use this fuel for itself or offload to a number of different kinds of receiving aircraft. It holds a variety of world records for its job of passing gas, and it includes the most aero refuelings in 1 week of over 290 refueled and over 1. Inbound now from the right, Altus Air Force Base, Oklahoma. The KC-135 and its tactical arrival. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's demonstration on behalf of the men and women of the United States Air Force Air Education and Training Command at Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma. They thank you for being with us here today and hope you've enjoyed this brief look, which is certainly a fascinating skill indeed.
Yeah, FAST is a self-regulating organization, and they maintain the rules of which we fly by.
That's right.
So all the hand signals we use, it's standard. So with the fellows I'm flying with today, I could fly with another fast pilot like Doug here as well. We could hop into an airplane and use all the same hand signals. We know exactly what we're talking about. It's basically our own language.